Yari yari ya. Hi. Yeah, sometimes we get a little bit playful. What's the word now? Not childish now. Childlike. How are you? Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good everything. Wherever you are this very moment, listening or seeing me. Yep, welcome to the Word Cafe podcast. There's a part of this Word Cafe podcast, the way I say it, that the other day was like, okay, some of you don't forget it. It is the Word Cafe podcast with Amax. I know some of you have forgotten that a little bit. That is the main. But in any case, welcome. How are you? How are you doing? Yes, I will always ask that question because it is not just for the fun. It is because we care in this space majorly. That's why we're here, because of you. Well, I'm reaching you from the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, Abuja. It's been really hot. Very hot. I think it was yesterday or so we checked. It was 36 or 37. There was a time we did up to 40. Pretty hot. It gets to the point that even the ACs are not working effectively. But we're fine. We're fine. We're good. The rains are beginning to pop up here and there. Whew. So, what are we going to be doing today? Let me tell you something. Let me let you in on some of my secrets. Usually, I see every day as an opportunity to hear God and walk with Him and implement. Sometimes I come on stage or on set, I beg your pardon, maybe having something pre-recorded in my mind to talk about, and somehow from the door to sitting, everything changes. And I just, lean on His grace. Sometimes I have this idea and I'm like, how do I communicate it? Under my breath, I say those prayers for utterance, for clarity, to say them not the way I want to say them, the way He wants me to say them, because there's somebody out there to listen the way He wants. So many people listen to us, so many people follow us at different, should I say, stages in their lives and what have you, and the word comes to you. Somehow the way we say it, it gets to you at that point of your faith. Not your need, your faith. Yep, faith. So what are we going to be doing today? I processed it. I talked about it, as in with myself. It has to do with legacy, inheritance. So there's this word. I hear people say it every now and then. I'm going to write my will, your testament, or I'm going to inherit this, either from my father, most likely from the testator, the one who writes the will. But come to think of it, what is the greatest inheritance a man, a father, a mother can leave or bequeath to their children? If you look at the great minds, from scriptures, nobody was given an inheritance, physical, most of them physical inheritance. Jacob wasn't given an inheritance physically. Esau wasn't given. Joseph wasn't given. Daniel wasn't given. So what were they given? They were given an inheritance. What exactly were they given? That has been with me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about that on the show. So I'm going to read a couple of scriptures, then we're going to land with a story. I'm going to read from Genesis chapter 18, verse 19. I have chosen him here is Abraham, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Did you hear that? Now let me take it up again from Psalm 78, verse 5 to 7. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers to teach to their children. Take note of these words, that the coming generation would know them, even children yet to be born. That sounds like inheritance to me. That they should put their confidence in God, not forgetting his works, but keeping his commandments. Did you hear that? I'm going to read another scripture. This is Proverbs 13, verse 22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is passed to the righteous. So what is inheritance? I just read these scriptures. Key words you take from there: teaching, generation, commandment, direction. Don't forget the question I asked earlier about, were these great minds given an inheritance in terms of physical, material, tangible? No. Most of them, their fathers laid their hands on them and released the blessing. Not a blessing, the blessing on them. And they went off. If you remember the story of Eliezer, that was Abraham's servant who was going to look for a wife for his master's son, that's Isaac. You remember when Abraham called him and said, place your hands. For those of us who've studied the scriptures, you will see it, place your hands under my thigh, which was close to his private part, his testicles. That word testimony stems from the word testicles, because the testicles carry the genetic material, like we'll call it the loins, of human beings, like the sperm cells. The word inheritance is tied to hereditary, which stems from genetics. Follow my thoughts? So he told him, swear to me. His servant did that. Long and short of it, God answered his prayer. So where am I going with this? You're wondering. You know, each time we look at our existence as human beings, a good number of us place our focus on the physicality, the outward, the material world, the biology, the chemistry and physiology and all of that. But we fail to see that there is something that transcends all of this. He said the righteous man leaves or bequeaths or gives an inheritance, not for just his children, his children's children. That is speaking of a genealogy or a generation. So what exactly does he leave behind? Obviously, it's not money. Obviously, it's not material. He leaves behind the force of the blessing, the energy. Somebody said recently, the problem is not making money. The problem is keeping money. It's more of keeping money, managing it. You can make so much money, but if you don't have the force or the energy, the knowledge to manage it, the next generation will not see it. So what the righteous really leaves, that inheritance, this is how I see it. The relationship between the righteous and the righteous one. The righteous one, you know who I'm talking about, God. Yes. He breathes upon the righteous. And it's like, let's go a little bit Marvel. Yeah. Fiction or non-fiction, as the case may be. Imagine you watch those animations where you see one entity interact with a community and he releases this breath and the breath goes all over them in this smoky looking atmosphere, and it's like that smoke overpowers and overshadows and overtakes them, and they all begin to cut covenant. And somewhere along the line, the story goes, our fathers encountered XYZ, and there was a prophecy that was said. I know you get what I'm talking about. Basically, God cut covenant with Abraham. And in cutting covenant with Abraham, this is the way I see it. His energy was bound to that of Abraham's. And Abraham left his belief system and took what Jehovah gave to him, understanding that there is a force higher than me, and that force will empower me to produce. And that's why he said he gives power to make wealth. Inheritance, our heritage. Now I'm going to read the story. Am I taking you on a rabbit ride? I know I'm not confusing you. Am I? I'm not. You know how we do it on the show. You know. So I got the story about, I've heard about it a couple of times, but I had to tell myself, we need to talk about it to buttress the point of inheritance, heritage, what we bequeath to our generation, our children, our society. The story of Jonathan Edwards and Max Jukes. An interesting story. An interesting story. So now, the story of them, these two people, Jonathan Edwards and Max Jukes, is the power of legacy, choice, environment, and all of that. So let us start. Who was Jonathan Edwards? He was born 1703 and he died 1758. Now let us look at him. A renowned American preacher, theologian, and philosopher, key figure in the first Great Awakening, known for his fiery and brimstone sermon. That's fire and brimstone sermon. Remember, it's sinners in the hands of an angry God. I've read that book when I was in secondary school. Edwards married Sarah Pierpoint, and they had 11 children. He was deeply committed to faith, family, and education. He later became the president of Princeton University. His legacy. Yeah. A study traced around 1,400 of his descendants and reported, as in, this was the report. He had 100 plus lawyers and a dean of a law school, 80 plus holders of public office, including 3 U.S. senators, 3 governors, 1 U.S. vice president, Aaron Burr, his grandson, 13 college presidents, 100 plus missionaries, ministers, theology professors, 60 plus authors, and many doctors and educators. All right, let us look at Max Jukes. 1700s. Nobody could tell when he died, from what I found out here. A contemporary of Edwards. They were born about the same time. If you look at the time, Edwards was 1703. Max Jukes was 1700. That's 1700. That's like 3 years or something. A contemporary of Edwards reportedly lived in New York. Described as an atheist, idle, and irreligious man who married a woman of similar disposition, lived a rough life with no emphasis on education or morality. According to the anecdote, a socialist studying prison populations found many Jukes descendants among inmates. His legacy: of approximately 1,200 descendants, 300 plus died prematurely. 100 plus were sent to prison. 1,900 plus became prostitutes. 100 plus were alcoholics. The family cost the state, allegedly, over $1 million of that time. The value now in some, if not billions. So, is this a myth or what? So the comparison is used as a morality tale about the impact of parenting, values, and faith. Some of the aspects were exaggerated. The Jukes study was published by sociologist Richard L. Dugdale in 1877 in The Jukes, a study in crime, pauperism, disease, and heredity. So that report he pointed was not of the hereditary issue. He did point to that. But he was also looking at environmental and social conditions like poverty, lack, education, what all of this played. But this is where I'm going with my story. These two people had, would I say, the same opportunity. What's the opportunity? Life. One lifted it to God. The other, but the issue here now is a righteous man leaves an inheritance. What is that inheritance? It is not material. It's relationship. He left for his children his walk with God. That was what he left for them. Somebody may say, are you saying that he didn't leave any physical thing and all of that? That's not what we're talking about. What he left for them. And God always, that's why if you're a Bible scholar, or go read any material, historical archive or whatever, you will always see family trees, genealogy. This married this beget this, that. So when you begin to trace all of that, you begin to see the character. You begin to see it play out. It's like, it could be it's not unconnected. Yeah. So we need to be careful as human beings. We need to be careful. Most of what we see today happening around us in the society and all of that is what an inheritance that was left for us. True. Yep. Some of us were acting, most of us were acting out of an inheritance. And you tell the next generation, and the generation, and the cycle, the vicious cycle continues and all of that. But when you see it and say, no, I can't leave this, I can't bequeath this to my children. I cannot. I remember the story my granddad told us of back home in the village, in our village, yes. A man who always wakes up in the morning with a glass of, what do you call it now? Alcohol was the best, spirit, dry gin or whatever. And he does incantations every morning. He wakes up to do that. His little son always saw him. When the boy grew to a stage, a particular day, he also stood up, put water in a cup. He just stood towards the sun or whatever and was just chanting. And everybody in the community were like, how? That was what his father, the inheritance his father left for him. Yes. I don't want to tell you how it ended. Hello, guys. We can leave a good inheritance for our children, for the society, for the world, for the community. Somebody says, are you trying to say that our DNA has something to do with it? Well, from what we just read, your biology cannot stand your spirituality. Yes, take it from me. Your biology cannot stand your spirituality. We were made to understand by reading, by faith, that what is was not created by what we see. What is, what we see, was created by what we don't see. Yeah. So that's the truth. And that's what I came to do on the show today. Inheritance. There is this fight to steal our heritage. Yes. And replace it with a false narrative. So it's like those of us who are to be the progenitors, carriers of true inheritance, we're losing. We're beginning to believe in a lie. Hello? No. We carry grace. We carry glory. Let me tell you what we carry. Kabod. You know what the meaning of kabod? Do you know the meaning of kabod? Glory. Kabod means the glory has departed. That's what we carry. So it renews, transforms our mind so that everything that comes from us is refined. You now see why Scripture says, by the renewing of your mind. You must know that. Your DNA is very powerful. But if your mind is not renewed, what comes from that powerful, should I call it, source becomes corrupted. Yep. So guys, this is what we do. And this is what I came to do on the show today. Inheritance. a righteous man leaves for his children an inheritance. So before I go, I'm going to read this, a short poem that I crafted. I hope it inspires you. 2 lives once walked this earth, one with fire from heaven's heart, the other drifted lost in aim, and yet each man still bore a name. Legacy is not left behind. It's passed on, voice to mind. Choose your seed. Choose your soil. Choose your son. The story's told when life is done. Yes. This is what I came to do on the show today. I hope you learned 1 or 2 from this series. All right, guys, I need to run. But before I go, I need to say this. Go ahead. Follow us on all our, social media outlet. Instagram, Facebook, now called X, not Twitter. I always want to say Twitter, but it's X. We're on LinkedIn. And yes, we have a channel, YouTube channel. Go ahead, subscribe. Hit that notification button so that when those interesting and juicy talks come up, you will be the first to see it and you have the front row. Thank you so much for everything. Go ahead, share it with your friends, family, yes, even your enemies. They may need it so they could change. It's been an amazing time. Let me tell you something. It's my happy space. Each time I come in here, I'm happy. It makes me feel good. Yes, happy. And somebody will say, what else? It brings out my happy. All right, guys. I need to run now. You know how we say it on the show. My name is Amachree Isoboye. Till I come your way again.